Welcome back to Gold Derby. I'm Christopher Rosen. I'm joined by Joyce Ing. Joyce, it's the moment we've been waiting for. We're gonna
Not
update
really,
our
though.
Emmy picks.
The moment is in a month.
Well, we're
The
doing
real moment.
real moments in a month, but we're gonna do an update here after the ballots came out last week. Much to consider after those ballots came out, Joyce.
I'm sure you made wholesale changes.
I made some changes. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, some we were forced into making because people weren't on the ballots, and some
hmm
things we expected to be there were not. But then otherwise, I'm just going with vibes, just general vibes.
Well, voting itself, it's going on right now. It
Right
ends
now.
Monday, the 24th at 10 p.m. Pacific. So
Are we going to
get
influence any
your
people?
votes in.
Are we
No,
going
we
to
are
influence any
definitely.
people right now? We're going to do
It's
the
always
influence
funny
thing.
when people think like we're so influential and vote. I'm like, no, like people can make their own choices.
In terms of voting, Joyce, do you have to fill out every? Do you have to? Can you just put one person, or do you have to put
Yeah,
every show?
you just put one person.
Right. You don't even have to fill out the slots.
No, well, it's a restricted ballot now,
Yep.
since last year. As we know, we thought that would help stop the spamming. It did not last year. They
No.
just watched, four shows. So yeah, like you can only vote for 8 shows in drama series, comedy series. You don't have to list 8 shows. You could just list two and move on.
And I wonder how many people will do that.
I think a lot of people
And I
do that.
think, in terms of like,
I mean, I'll just tell you, like, when I vote for TCA, we only have 4 slots. I have trouble filling out 4 slots sometimes.
yeah, we were voting for our Gold Derby awards too, Joyce, and I had trouble filling out the slots.
Oh yeah, I have a lot of just like one pick
So
there.
that's a good. So that's how we're thinking. So imagine Emmy voter who watched 3 shows is probably just going to go. You know what? I love the bear.
I'm also not someone like there's a lot of shows that I like, but then when I'm like sitting down, I'm like, do I actually want to vote for this thing to win
Good point.
awards? And I'm like, not really, you
Does it
know?
need awards or can I just enjoy it?
Exactly. Like some things I just enjoy. And I'm like, I don't need but I know there are people who are the opposite who just like everything and think like I need to give awards to everything I like.
Everything needs an award.
Yeah, participation trophies. So
All right. So we're going to go through all our picks. Can't wait. And then we'll do emails at the end. We're recording this on Tuesday, Joyce. So we're a little
we don't know what's going to happen on Wednesday.
no idea.
Yeah.
Who can say? But email us at slugfest@goldderby.com. We'll read your email next week. Anyway, comedy series, Joyce. We're going to start there. I had no problem filling out 7 slots, and then my 8th slot, I'm really torn. But here are my 7 so far: The Bear, Hacks, Abbott, Only Murders, Curb Your Enthusiasm, What We Do in the Shadows, and Netflix smash The Gentleman. And then I think for now I'm gonna put Colin from Accounts.
You are just all in on Colin from accounts now.
I just was like, I think for these last 2 spots, you could have any number of shows similar to like last year. Certainly, I think we saw this too. And I just feel like I don't know which of these other shows is going to really make an impact. And I don't know if Colin from Accounts has been seen by enough people, but I also know that some of these other shows don't seem like they have a lot of passion for them. So I'm sticking with that. But I could see any number of other shows in that 8th spot.
Um, but why that one over
I think it'll have the most
literally anything
enthusiasm.
else?
I was between this and Palm Royale, really. Reservation Dogs,
Your
I've moved
fave.
on from. I
You
just was
remember when
like,
you loved Palm Royale?
I just was like, Reservation Dogs, I feel like just doesn't seem to be capturing the moment. Do you feel that
I
way?
mean, is Colin from accounts capturing the moment?
I think it is a little more.
It's not jury duty.
No, it's not jury duty, but it's not. It's its own thing. But I think it is somewhat captured. I think if it has enough small passion, people who like it really, really like it. And I just think it doesn't matter. It's a matter of like how many people actually seen it or where it exists. Palm Royale is similar boat, but I was like, I think it could maybe get in on like its great crafts, beautiful crafts. But I'm also like, I also don't know how many people think of it / have seen it. But Reservation Dogs, I feel like, is also a weird fit just because it's not something they've seemed to like previously, and it's not really seemingly the noise is not there for it. But I don't know what else. I mean, Frasier, like I don't know. I don't know what else to put here. So I put Colin from Accounts for now. We could change. I'll change these before we do our final picks. This is just right now.
I mean, you could do I'm a Virgo in 10th place.
I you know I thought of that too, but they're pushing it. That at least Amazon is pushing it. But I think in terms of, I don't know. I'm not buying that one either. So
I mean, I've made no changes.
you
It
still have
doesn't
Rose
mean I'm
Dogs now.
confident
Yeah.
in these eight, but I just have The Bear, Hacks, Abbott, Only Murders, Curb, What We Do in the Shadows, The Gentleman, and Res Dogs. I mean, obviously, like Res Dogs has never been nominated before except for a sound
Yeah.
award last year, but it's just like you're saying, like what's going to take the spot. And like I don't think there is any public data or even like anecdotal evidence that one of them between Calling from Accounts and Res Dogs, like one is stronger than the other, because it's not
No.
like Calling from Accounts just premiered a month ago
No,
and
I
is taking
know.
the world by storm. It premiered in the US in November. No
Hmm.
one was talking about the show until
No.
like 3 weeks ago. And then like it won 2 Gotham Awards, voted on by like 8 people. And I think people like think that matters a
I would say
lot.
here it matters in terms of it at least is it doesn't matter for anything other than the visibility of it winning something. So maybe somebody who's going to check out the show, and if it's like the last thing they watched and they liked it, maybe they'll put it in. I guess that would be my thinking of how it could help.
How many shows have you started watching because it won a Gotham Award?
None, but how many shows have I started watching because I never heard of it, and then people are like, oh, that's good.
I mean, I don't really do that anyway. It's
I think
usually
people
I'm
do though.
usually the one watching it first.
Right, but I think people do. I think other people do. And I think
I
the
don't know.
idea
I think it's like it's weird because like in terms of recommendations, I get I feel like just among like friends, I feel like some people um are more hesitant to take recs because of just like different tastes or like how slow or fast a show gets going. Like I've had like conversations with my own friends when I've recommended a show to them and like they're not into it or they think it's like taking too long.
I don't I try not to recommend anything to anybody because I
Yeah, like
don't want to know
I
what you
don't
think.
voluntarily recommend it, but if they ask,
I'll
then I'll
always say
say
what I'm
something.
watching. I rarely will recommend because I'm just like,
Yeah, I don't try to influence people. Like, but
but
if they ask, I'll say like I like this show, but
and
like
then
but I also know what shows they won't like, so I won't
sure.
say those shows.
In terms
So,
of like jury duty and column from accounts, definitely not the same. Jury duty probably better, easier watch, and more people are aware of it. But it did feel like at this time last year, it was a show that people were like, oh, pay attention to the show. And it ended up
yeah, but
paying
that's
off.
not really happening with Calling from
I think it
Account.
kind of was a little, it's a less, but I think it is. And I think it's a less competitive field. I don't know. I just don't know. None of these feel right. But I mean, that's what I'm like. I don't know. I guess it could be Reservation Dogs and stuff. Obviously, it's like in eighth right now. Seventh, I
I
guess.
mean, I think Res Dogs has the benefit of, you know, being an older show, like it's over,
Right.
but it's 3 years old. So I think there is more awareness of the show, despite the fact that it has not been nominated at the Emmys for major awards. Like it's a Peabody winner. You know, like people are aware of the show.
Right.
Whereas Colin, again, like it's been out in the US since November.
I guess I'd
And
say if they're aware of it and they haven't picked it yet, is that a bad sign?
no, because I think that's just like it's taking a while for people to discover it, and then it's like the different competition. It's like the Americans. It took them 5 seasons to get into Schitt's
Right.
Creek, right? Like
Right.
Schitt's Creek got
Right.
the Netflix bump.
Right.
So like some shows don't break through right away. It's like not everyone is The Bear or Ted Lasso or
Right.
Hacks.
Right.
So or
What could
even
be hacks though?
a perennial bridesmaid like Only Murders.
Right.
So, but yeah, I don't know. I think like I feel I'm not even like that confident about like shadows, but I think, you know, former nominee, like it should be able to do it. Like,
It seems like such a
so
soft year with in terms of like volume that I just feel like it'll get in. I'm not that. I guess I'm not that. I guess if it didn't get in, I wouldn't be shocked. But I'm just like, man, imagine like that would. There just does. There are not a lot of shows to replace it with. I guess I would say.
yeah, so like I think that'll get in. I think Curb will make it back. And then I mean I've had the gentleman in here since March, so I'm
You
just gonna
were
keep
the right on the money with
yeah,
Gentlemen.
I've still only seen one episode, but keeping
Same.
it.
But great. Love it. You were on board from the top.
I mean, like what else is there? Like you were saying, like I'm putting the Netflix hit in here.
there's got to be room for a hit. And like was Wednesday last year, and this year it'll be The Gentleman. That's it, basically. For comedy actors choice, this one will end up being a tight race once we get the nominees. But for now, I got Iowa Devery, Gene Smart, Quinta Brunson, Maya Rudolph, and then I put Harriet Dyer in From Colin from Accounts.
Of course you did.
Gotta. I'm gonna stick it in show series. I might as well put her in. Similar though, reasoning was like Selena Gomez would be the obvious pick here, I think. But I'm like, I'm not feeling the vibes. I think that she would not be anybody's favorite, I don't think. And so I'm worried that she would just remain left off. And Kristen Wiig obviously is fourth in the odds, and could get in certainly. But again, I'm not sure. I feel more confident in Maya Rudolph getting in for Loot, but I guess they could both get in.
This one I have Jean, Io, Quinta, Maya, and Kristen. So I'm just going back to what we've seen them do when there is a dearth of contenders. They go to like familiar names and faces and people they've nominated for other things before.
Yes. I think that totally makes sense. And if I dropped Harriet Dyer, I would probably put Kristen in over Selena. I just don't feel like Selena's going to get in.
I think it's I mean, it's only 5 slots again. So it's kind of it's weird because I feel like, you know, she obviously had like buzz from Cannes from that joint Best Actress win for Mia Perez, but the Only Murders campaign has also been pretty quiet. Like they basically kicked off FYC season in March.
Mm-hmm.
They had like a huge panel, but they've also been filming.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been like pretty low key. And she's never done a ton of campaigning before anyway, so I don't think that like that would have made like a huge amount of difference. But I think, you know, we've also seen like them drop Steve already last year. Like it's and I love the show and I love to see her get nominated, but I think it's in a very tricky position right now, the show, like because it's like one of the older shows and it seems to be able to get nominations but not big wins. So and I don't know how well it will do now coming off a season that I think what like most people liked, but I think like the biggest like talking point was like Meryl and Martin.
I think that's right. And I guess another reason I didn't put Selena in, and probably wouldn't even if I dropped Harriet Dyer, I would put Kristen Wiig in, like you're saying. I just was like, I don't like, it doesn't matter. This doesn't matter, I guess, but it does sort of, where I was just like, she was good. She was very good in the season, but I'm like, nothing to me felt like they had nominated her twice previously and nothing in the season was any better or worse than what she had done previously. So she could get in out of like apathy for other nominees, but I'm not sure there actually is necessarily apathy for other nominees, and nothing she did like stood out beyond what she had done previously when they were like, no, not interested in nominating her. So I was just like, I'm not putting her in. Maybe if there were 6 slots, but I don't even know then. Maybe.
I mean, I'm glad there's not 6 slots because I don't know what I would do.
And then, like you said, for Kristen, someone familiar, she's actually really great on the show. And I think she's pretty beloved in the industry. And I think that'll go a long way to getting her in if she does get in.
Yeah, it feels like to me, it's always felt like with Palm Royale, like the show might not be able to get in, but like she is their best chance of getting a nomination. It's kind of like Shrinking last year or Poker Face, you know?
Yeah. So we'll see if I keep Harriet Dyer, but if I'm sorry to Selenators out there. Don't yell at me. For Best Actor, this one was much easier. I feel like for a lot of people, it would be much easier. Best Actor in Comedy, there's 5 slots, Joyce. Once again, Jeremy Allen White, Martin Short, Larry David, Steve Martin, and Theo James. That's my 5.
Same. I've had this since March. I'm not going to change it. I'll say this right now. I'm not going to change this before July 17th. I don't even care if it's wrong, but no. I'm just, there's like nothing else for me to do here.
No. Jarrell Jerome is in 6th, Kelsey Grammer in 7th, Dafaro Wunatai in 8th, Patrick Burmell from Colin from Accounts in 9th.
So why do you have Harriet but not Patrick? Because he didn't win a Gotham Award? Because
I think this is a stronger group of nominees. I think there's there's more consensus around these 5 than there would be in the actress race. I think there's more.
I mean, they could just snub Steve again.
They could, and I could see that. I would actually have him probably in 5th, and if I was like if I'm caring about the rankings, but I think they'll go back to him. He also had like much more to do this third season, so I feel like maybe that matters. I just feel like this is a tighter. These are just more consensus around these 5 than there is in the actress race, so that's why I put her in over Patrick. But I guess he could get in. You're right. I feel like Theo James is like pretty solid here, so I think Steve would be the one to drop only because they dropped him last year.
I mean, I could see either of them missing, but I'm not gonna predict it.
No.
So it's like I haven't thought about this category in a really long time.
No. So let's not think about it anymore, Joyce. We'll talk about it on our final predictions. Comedy supporting actress, Joyce. This one is maybe unhinged, and we'll see if I stick with this.
What did you do?
Well, I dropped Meryl altogether.
Of course you did.
So I have Hannah Einbinder just in first, winning. I have Shirley Ralph, Liza Colon-Zayas, Janelle James, Abby Elliott, and Molly Gordon for the 6.
You went back to Claire Bear.
I did. I just think that having the 6 slots to me is like we're saying, much tighter in this category. And I think they're going to really just focus on the shows they love. And I don't think Only Murders is one of those shows. I think it's The Bear, Abbott, and Hacks. I guess you could say Abbott is on the fringe too, but they've shown previously they like it in this category. So I feel like those are the 3 they're going to focus on. And I don't know if Meryl's going to get in. We'll see if I keep this. I'll probably, if I had her, I would put her in 6 though. I don't think she's like a lock like everybody else does.
You mean not in first?
Well, she's in second. She's not in first now because Hannah Einbinder's in
I know,
first.
but I think the only reason Hannah went to first is because you dropped Meryl completely.
So there you go.
So it's because of you that Hannah's finally in first.
Influencer.
I have Hannah, Cheryl, Liza, Abby, Janelle, and Meryl.
So you have Meryl in 6th.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had Meryl in first. So
No.
I don't like, it's a great performance and it's really
Wonderful.
fun. And she gets to sing. Very emotional too.
This is not my dropping her is not an ounce of knock on her. I think she was the best part of the whole season, but I'm just like, I don't think they love the show as much.
I think she can get in like the way she did for Big Little Lies, when that like season 2 just completely fell off.
Yeah.
In terms of Emmys and also quality too. But so I think she can still get in that way, but yeah, obviously it's tougher with the loss of a slot. It's only 6 now. But I guess it's like it like, because I don't think her performance has a lot of detractors, whereas like Claire Bear does, right? So, and it's also like she felt, I know it doesn't really matter, but it's like she felt more like an actual guest star than Meryl does in their shows. Like it doesn't matter, but that's just kind of because it's like Claire Bear was just like popping in and out, whereas like Loretta is actually part of the story of the season. So
I mean, we'll see if I keep this, but if I had Meryl in, it would be in 6th. I don't think she's not nearly as strong as the odds would suggest to me.
Well, she's no longer in first because you dropped her completely. So, but I like, I've always felt like since the Hacks finale, like in phase 2, Hannah would be in first anyway.
Yeah.
Like once everyone makes new predictions. So
now, do you think like in the odds, a lot of Palm Royale people still high? Allison Janney, Carol Burnett, another person, Carol Burnett especially, who would be like a guest star plus, basically. She's in enough episodes, obviously, but is like a guest star. Lisa Ann Walter, Meg Stalter. I mean, that's the other. I just was like,
what if Meg is the coattail and not Claire Bear?
I think that could be it. I really do believe, like, I think it's more likely that one of them get in because of the restricted ballot, because of the lack of spots, and because of the fact that they just watched 3 shows. And so I was like, I really do think that they would have more of a strong shot of getting in more than Meryl, because she'd be the only murders person here. Whereas we know they're just going to go, love the bear, 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 bear. Loved Hacks, 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 Hacks.
I mean, to be fair to Only Murders, it's never really had like a a strong contender in this
No.
category.
No.
So we don't know how it would perform in this
True.
category until now.
Unanswerable. If her name wasn't, if it wasn't, if it was, let's pick another actress. If it was Laurie Metcalf or Annie Potts, I'm just throwing down the list, or other shows, and then Meryl role, would Meryl be like a lock to get in the
I
same
think
role?
I think like the same performance and everything, I think they would still be predicted. Yeah.
You think she'd be like in second or first place though? I think she's getting a lot of. I think the predictions, the center or the odds are skewed because it's Meryl Streep. If it was just
Well, yeah, we know that for sure. Like
so
we
that's
know
why.
that from the Globes. So
So obviously she'd still be a contender, but I think like she'd be lower in the minds, and people would be more willing to take her out than they are because it is Meryl Streep. It's kind of stupid to be like Meryl Streep's not going to get an Emmy nomination, even though we know they're not really
I mean,
nominating her as
we've
much
talked
anymore.
about how people overestimate
Yes.
Meryl's credentials. Like it's
Yes.
been a really long time since she's actually won something.
Yes.
And you know, she can still get like nominations here and there, but like people seem to think she's just like an automatic like name check for a win.
Right. I guess that's more what I'm thinking.
But I mean, I think you're thinking like too much about the win, whereas like I'm not, because I'm pretty sure people will be like on the Hannah train like once like the new predictions come in phase 2. Like this is just people not updating. We know this.
So you think like, and you think she could just be an easy name check as a nominee more so than like Molly Gordon or Meg Stalter or like Lisa Ann Walter? Like I actually put those three ahead of like in the odds. Allison Janney and Carol Burnett are higher, obviously, but I think it's more likely that Molly Gordon, Lisa Ann Walter, and Meg Stalter knocks out Meryl than like anybody else. I just think they would stick with the shows that they like.
But we also know they watch Only Murders, right? Like
Yes.
it's a consistent nominee.
Yes.
It just doesn't win
Right.
above the line.
But would you
So,
say in terms of like it's who knows? But to me, it would be like fourth out of those four shows, I would think, if you
yeah,
ask somebody. So
but they still watched. I mean, it's like how, you know, when they finally nominated Ray Seahorn, she's like the only person in there who's not from Succession to White Lotus, right?
right.
So it could be like that.
Okay. We'll
Like
see what
I
ends up
understand
happening.
like what you're saying, because like I obviously had like Lisa Ann Walter, you know, when we had 7 slots too, like a
Yeah.
coattail nomination.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like impossible for Meryl to beat out these people for the 6th
Yeah.
slot.
I don't want to make it if I make I don't think it's impossible either. I mean obviously she can get in, but I'm gonna keep her out for now. And we'll see if I end up whatever I end up doing that last spot. I think we'll figure out which coattail I want to do. But for now, Molly Gordon, Claire Bear.
I also don't think it's like in terms of, you know, like when White Lotus spam nominations and everything, I feel like these shows aren't an ensemble in the same way, like even with Succession too, where you just kind of really see the whole ensemble together and playing off of each other. But like these shows aren't really like that. Like The Bear, Hacks, and Only Murders is like obviously it's great when they're together, but like oftentimes they're siloed in their own stories.
So then do
So
you think like Lisa Ann
I don't
Walter
know
would
if
get
it's
in?
like I don't know if they would coattail the same way, like or as like easily as like White Lotus people do.
Right. That makes sense. And then maybe Lisa Ann Walter is the coattail. Back to her.
Yeah.
I guess
I
we'll
don't know.
see. For supporting actor, this one was easier for me. With without 7 slots, with 6 slots. Evan Moss Backrack, Oliver Platt, Paul W. Downs for Hacks, Tyler James Williams for Abbott, Lionel Boyce for The Bear, and Maddie Matheson for The Bear.
Yeah, I have 4 Bears, TJ Dubs, and PWD. I just dropped Carl Clemens Hopkins.
And I dropped Bowen Yang when thrown in. Am I crazy? Obviously, hashtag bias because we're like way in the tank for Hacks choice. But I feel like Paul is like with the 6 slots, it feels even more likely that he'll get nominated for some reason. I know he's still like, I think he's 5th in the odds now, but I just feel like there is like a wealth of more. It feels like more like, oh yeah, he'll get in now after the finale and stuff than maybe even at any point during the season. I don't know. Am I just blind to this show?
I think Paul Rudd is in 5th. You're looking at the wrong Paul.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am looking at the wrong Paul.
Right? Like he's still in the
you're
top
right.
6.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah. I think, you know, they definitely are working for this acting nomination for PWD.
Yeah. When I interviewed
So
him, it was for his acting choice, not for his
yeah,
writing and directing.
they sent a reel and everything.
It was a great fucking reel.
Google the rules.
Vimeo.
Um, and I think, he has like Jimmy had a more substantial presence this season, so I
Yeah.
think that really helps him. And yeah, I think it's tough that he has to face so many bears. I think
I
if
don't
there were fewer bears, that, I think people might be more inclined to predict him.
I was thinking this like in terms of with Hacks, a show that I think the industry does love, right? I think because people really like it, and I think, and it reminded me a little of like when we like I don't think Paul W. Downs is gonna win in the end because I think Evan Moss Bacharach will win, but it reminded me, I guess I was like, oh, if you watch the show, which we know they watch, you would be like, he was amazing this season, right? Like I think he was like one of the highlights of the season. Was it would be like Hannah, Jean, Paul to me. That would how I'd rank their performances, right? And I think if you watch the show, you're like, oh man, he's wonderful, very funny, reliably hilarious, gets a lot to do. Like obviously he would get in. So that's why I was like, I just feel like they watched the show, so we would know, like kind of like Succession side, where we're like, oh, how is Kieran not going to win for the final season because he's so good? It's so obvious that he should win. And like if they watch the show, which we know they do, they would know that he would win. So that kind of thing, I feel like could be with Paul, even though I don't think he's going to win.
No, I don't think he's gonna win either, and I think they know that. I think they just want to get the nomination for him,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the win.
yeah.
You can tell by these things, like
You just got
people.
to get in.
Yeah, like so. Um, yeah, I guess. I mean, do you think like the bear would take up fewer than 4 slots here?
So I've seen people not have Matty Matheson. He seems like the one that
Mhm.
people are dropping out. But to me, it's like he is the cousin Greg of the show, and people who watch the show like
The
love that
funniest parts are
character.
between him and Evan.
Right. And so like they love that character. I think he is reliably hilarious. His stuff with Evan is great. And like if you're a fan of the show, you'd obviously be like, I love that guy. Like fact fucking rules, right? Like he's so funny. And so I think they watch the show and they love the show, so I don't see why he wouldn't get in. So I think the other three are obviously getting in. Even Lionel Boyce, I have no doubt would get in. So
He
like
has a tape.
he has a
He's
great tape. Oliver Platt, freaking amazing. And Evan Moss
the
Bacharach obviously is gonna win. So I'm like the others are fine, and Maddie would be like just a no-brainer to me. I just feel like it's like Nicholas Braun got in multiple times for Succession. Why wouldn't Maddie Matheson?
Yeah, like I immediately put in 4 bears, like,
Yeah,
4 months
same,
ago.
same.
Like I never questioned this like I did with the Bear Girls.
Yeah,
So, and then, I just put in TJ Dubs and PWD.
yeah.
So, and
Paul
then
Rudd like is still in fifth. I got the wrong Paul. I apologize, Joyce.
yes, yes, this. We can
Uh,
change for confusing the Pauls.
but I'm
Both
not
great Pauls, but I
both
don't
great.
think Paul Rudd will get in
I,
for
if
this.
Maddie didn't get in, who would you put in if they did three bears?
Um, I don't know if Carl will get back in. I mean, I guess that could happen if it's just, like, they just watch 3 shows, right? I guess Bowen would be the alternative.
I would put
Or I
Bowen
don't I
in.
don't know about like Chris Perfetti because he's never been nominated either, so he's kind of like Lisa Ann Walter.
Yeah, I would put Bowen in on the like the idea you're saying before, like familiar face that they already like and have nominated. So
Yeah, and Bowen's always campaigned, but like he's been out about. They just did the Cocherista Awards over the
really
weekend.
out there. He's really visible.
Yeah.
Good for him. Go for it. Love it. Next up, comedy guest actress Joyce. There are 6 slots here. I have Jamie Lee Curtis for the Bear, Olivia Colman for the Bear, Caitlin Olsen for Hacks, J. Smith Cameron for Hacks, Maya Rudolph for SNL, and Helen Hunt for Hacks.
Wow. I have JLC, Caitlin, Olivia, JSC, Helen Hunt, and Jane Addams for Hacks.
Nice. Hacks.
I just have bears and Hacks.
Love that idea. We both have Helen Hunt, who's low in the odds, but I just feel like absolutely will get in. I don't know. It's a big showy performance. She's absolutely hilarious, and she's Helen Hunt. So those are the reasons why I put her in. I don't know.
Yeah, like I think because she's I mean, besides J. Smith Cameron, she's the only one who has like I mean, I guess Caitlyn too, but I don't know. I kind of think of Caitlyn as more of part of like the main cast, even though she is like guest star status, you know?
Yeah.
But like Helen, I guess I should say, of like the new characters this season, like she's the one who is consistently like throughout the season, right? Like she has a purpose.
Hmm.
And Jane obviously is just in there for one episode.
Jane, a
Um,
past nominee though, so
yes, that's why I have her.
uh,
And like JSC, she has like two and a little bit
right,
episodes, but like one big episode.
right.
So
I,
I guess she's like also like the least funny of the Hacks ladies, but I don't think that matters.
I don't think it matters either. I will say this: I think no, I know that Jamie Lee Curtis is going to win, and they're very lazy and they don't care. But man, Caitlin Olsen should absolutely win.
She deserves it.
The funniest fucking thing I've seen the whole year is her roast. It's so great. I think the talent to do that is really funny because Caitlin Olsen is absolutely hilarious. She's a very funny actress, very funny like comic actress. To play someone doing a roast in real time, like realizing that they could get laughs, I just found that like the difficulty of it like really incredible, right? Because she can't like as she would be great at that, right? Caitlin Olsen, but the character is not at the start. I know it's like acting, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I'm
and
like, wow, it's really
well,
good.
it's also because you're expecting DJ to bomb too.
Yes. Right. So you're expecting her to bomb. She's been a failure and she's like nervous at the start and to like slowly build into this really great momentum and like playing off the crowd. I was just like, wow, this is like actual act. It's like really good acting, I just think,
Well,
in the
it's
midst
also
of
great
being
because she
hilarious.
has like everything in the performance because it's like the comedy with the roast and everything, and then that moment at the end when she tells Deborah, it's like, oh, I finally get it. Like you're an addict, just like me. Like
It's
that cuts deep.
incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible performance. I really do. I know she won't. I don't think she'll win, but I really hope she wins because she would be so good. I didn't go Jane Addams. I stuck with Maya for SNL. Familiar face. I know you're off SNL, but I was like, that was like a standout show and like people love her. And I just feel like that's enough to get a name check nomination here as a guest host. So I'm going to keep her in.
Um, she can get nominated for a song.
She get nominated. I think she's going to get 4 nominations out of 4 attempts because I think she'll get in for all of these. Um, and Sarah Paulson's fifth in the odds, I think, or sixth in the odds, excuse me, could easily get in for the Bear if they're just Bear happy. She wasn't super memorable in that compared to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I would argue, but she did have a great
I would
scene.
nominate her for Mr. and Mrs. Smith and not the
Yeah,
bear.
same. And she has a great scene with Jeremy Allen White that was like done on the
Yeah,
fly,
when
she said.
she invites him to live with her in
So
New
like
York.
that's cool, but of what happens in that episode, she is definitely like not the
Not
focus,
important. Yeah.
right? So I'm like, okay. Um,
And then Oscar winner Da'Vine Joy Randolph in seventh. Had the holdovers never happened or she never won an Oscar, would she be this high?
no, I don't think people even remember her on the show.
Exactly.
So I
Yeah.
didn't even
I
think
mean,
I
I love her on
literally,
Only Murders.
yeah,
She was
but
only in one episode in season three.
yeah,
But it was just like, I mean, you could argue she should have been nominated for season one and supporting,
yes,
right? But no one has ever talked about her being nominated for the show until now.
completely, yeah,
She's an Oscar winner.
complete over prediction because she's an Oscar. For guest actor in a comedy, Joyce again 6. I got John Bernthal for The Bear, Ryan Gosling for SNL, Bob Odenkirk for The Bear, Christopher McDonald for Hacks, Will Poulter for The Bear, and Hal Linden for Hacks.
Wow. I have Bernthal, Will, Christopher McDonald, Mulaney, Christopher Lloyd, and Bob Odenkirk.
Nice. So
Again,
we
just
have.
bears and hats.
So you went Christopher Lloyd. I went Hal Linden. I just went off. I was like, Hal Linden is in. I felt like the finale is like the best. I just was like, I'm gonna go in on the finale. People in the finale. Christopher Lloyd's not in the finale. He's very good in his episode. Would be great to get in. Um, but I thought Hal Linden would be a great nominee and could easily get in for his like one scene with Gene, which is great. And then I have Gosling. The same reason I have Maya Rudolph. It was like the biggest male host of the season. Again, a show that went super viral, and I think he'll just get in. I don't think they're gonna go. Mulaney could easily get in. He was actually funny on The Bear and like has good scenes. So like I think it's possible he gets in too. But I'm gonna stick with Gosling. If I had to drop anyone, I probably would drop Hal Linden for Mulaney.
Um, yeah, like if I were to do an SNL person, I think I would do Ryan before Maya. Even though Maya is a 5-time winner.
Maya's in a easier to me. Maya's in an easier category though to get in.
And Um, but I think like in terms of like impact, like his episode was the bigger deal.
True.
So
Um, Fun. Christopher Lloyd getting it would be great. That would also bode well for Paul Downs getting in, I feel
we
like.
love Larry Arbuckle. New dad alert.
Great. To drama, Joyce. Less drama here for me, at least, than there was in comedy. For a series, I have Shogun, Fallout, The Crown, Morning Show, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, The Gilded Age, Slow Horses, and Loki. That's the 8 I've had for weeks, and I'm just going to stick with it to the end.
I have Shogun, The Crown, Morning Show, Fallout, Slow Horses, Gilded Age, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and Ahsoka.
So the same idea. I'm going to stick with Loki. You have Ahsoka. There we go. The other 7 are fine. I think in a more competitive year, I would not have a lot of these bottom 5 shows. So,
I mean, this is first of all, my personal order if for this 8 would be completely different.
obviously.
But I also would not nominate like 90% of these.
It's just a tough year. But congratulations to Shogun on a future Emmy win, I would say.
Yeah, I don't think anything will beat it. And then it's just like it will be again boring in phase 2, especially in this category. I think it'll be a huge upset if it doesn't win.
I can't even imagine
Series, no matter what its haul is.
I can't imagine what would win series otherwise. I guess it depends on the nominations. If it flops and something overperforms, and we'll be like, oh, they really like X show. But right now, I'm just like, what would beat it?
I think like everything, like all the other potential nominees has something against it. And or like I guess Shogun has like the fewest cons
Yes, I agree. So
against it. So and then yeah, like I can still see the curse getting in, but I just got rid of it.
I'm just not. I just feel like it's too polarizing. I don't know.
It's like I think it could definitely be carried by the writers. Like we've seen them do that to like Shadows, you know.
Right.
But I don't know. I felt like I was missing like a fun show. So I went back to Ahsoka.
Right. And I have Loki because I'm going to stick with. I just feel like I know it's Marvel and they seemingly in the past have actually preferred Star Wars more, like you've said. But like, man, people love Hiddleston. They love the character. I think if any of these Marvel shows is going to get in here, it would be this one for the second season. So, and I'm just going to leave it. I'm actually not going to think more about this until at phase 2. I'm done. I'm like, that's it. These are the 8. For drama actress Joyce. This one, I did something basically on Friday. We did our typing column, and you made a suggestion in it, and I was like, this confirms something I want to do, and so I will do this. So I dropped Imelda Staunton, and so then I got
because of me.
Well, because you were like, what if she just doesn't get in? And I was like, you know what? I don't want her. I want these other people in. So I have Anna Sawai, Emma Stone, Jennifer Aniston, and Reese Witherspoon, who is campaigning like crazy. Good for her. Ella Purnell and Maya Erskine.
Okay.
So I dropped Imelda, who's in second in the odds, to get Maya Erskine in, who I don't think is. I don't know if she'll get in, but I really love her performance, and I interviewed her, so gotta put her in.
I mean, I've made no changes, so I have Anna, Jen, Imelda, Reese, Maya, and Emma Stone, who I'm not confident about at all, but you like the only reason I suggested for you to drop Imelda was because the crux of your argument for excluding Reese initially was that she had not been campaigning. So then I was like,
yes, sickos.
Then why don't you just drop Imelda? Because Reese is campaigning. She's done. She had like she's done stuff.
One of the stupidest things I've said, and I've said a lot
so
of dumb
then
things.
So I was like, if that's your argument, why don't you drop Imelda? Because she's literally done 0. She did nothing last year. Totally fine for her not to campaign, but she did nothing last year. Was snubbed. She's not doing anything this year. So why don't you just get rid of her instead? you did.
basically I wanted to get Ella Purnell in, and I wanted to keep Maya Erskine in. I think Ella Purnell will get in because I do think Fallout is like all of these are bad comps. I say this understanding that, but it feels like that's like the closest thing we have to Wednesday this year. It's like a big hit, and whatever fake numbers it is likable. She's really solid on the show, and people like her, and she's everywhere, it seems like. And so I think as the lead of the show, she would get in a show they I think like, but we'll see if that's wrong. And Maya, I want to get in just because I really like her, and I think there would be more passion for her than there would be for Imelda on The Crown. No disrespect to Imelda Staunton, but I feel like not only is she, if you were a Crown fan, not only would you rank her third of the three queens, but you would probably, in terms of this final season, you would rank her, even though she had more to do in the final season than she did last season. I think you would rank her like middle of the pack in terms of characters you were excited to watch. You know what I mean? Like it just is like you have Diana, you have Prince Charles. I think the children are like way more compelling in those final episodes, right? Like Harry and William are like good and they're doing fun stuff. I don't know. I was just like, she's good, very good, but what if she's like, I don't know, like the fifth or sixth favorite of everybody and she just misses? Maybe she wouldn't because it's a show that everyone has seen. And so maybe like the mass appeal of it would help, but I don't know. I'm going to stick with the six.
I mean, well, one thing I did note on Friday was that I thought it was interesting that they're not focusing on the fact that this is the last chance to honor
Right.
Imelda.
Right.
And they're not mentioning like her snub last year because like for season 2, which was obviously Claire Foy's last season, that was their entire campaign. Like they had billboards with poll quotes that was like, this is your last chance to look at Claire Foy and savor it. That was their entire campaign for season 2 that she won. So I'm like, you can make that like Imelda's campaign,
but I just don't. Yeah.
But I feel like the campaign overall is just about like the show. It's like this great show. It's over.
It's about the
it's
show and
like
about
the
Elizabeth.
legacy.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, and I didn't go to Carrie Coon, who has been campaigning, but I'm just not sure. I could see her getting in. Certainly, it'd be great. Like I love her so much. Queen of physical media. She loves physical media, Joyce, or Tracy lets
I
us if
mean,
she allows
that's
it.
they just watch. That's all they watch, movie nights.
So absolutely
Physical
fuck
media.
yeah. I want her to get in. I just am not sure what they're thinking of the Gilded Age really, right? In terms of acting nominations for the leads here.
I don't have Gilded Age getting any acting nominations.
And Carrie Preston, I think, is like a strong contender as well. I really do believe that for Elsbeth. I think, but I'm not sure she'll get in. So I don't know. That's what I'm going to stick with for now. I could just see. I think I'm just like leery of them going back to Imelda with like a deep. It's a pretty deep category to me. Like there are a lot of options, and I don't think she'd be anybody's favorite. So that's why I'm just leaving her out. Somehow Anna Sawai is third in the odds still, which shows to show you that people have not
Well,
updated.
because it moved here
I know.
a month ago.
I know.
So maybe you should just drop Jennifer Aniston completely.
No, she's great on she's so good on the morning show.
I know, but that's how Hannah got to first because he dropped Meryl.
No. For actor Joyce, this one was a lot less fraught. I have the top 6 in the odds. I have Hiroyuki Sanada, Cosmo Jarvis, Walton Goggins, Gary Oldman, Dominic West, and Donald Glover.
I think everyone's gonna have those 6.
Colin Farrell finally in 7th. Took him long enough.
He fell last week.
There's nobody else I would even think about here except for maybe Tom Hiddleston, but no chance to me. So
yeah, I feel like this is going to be the 6 that most people will predict. I don't know. I'm sure some people will have like Nathan Fielder.
Yeah, it feels like comedy actor to me, where it's just such an obvious 6, right? Or 5 in that case. But like they're just such an obvious 5 or 6 that it just is like, why deviate?
And I mean, like obviously there could still be a surprise, but I don't really want to expend energy trying to figure it out.
So let's go to the next category then. We'll come back to this in July when we do our final picks. For supporting actress in a drama, Joyce. Here's what I got. I'm not sure if this is right either. I have Elizabeth Debicki for The Crown, Mocha Hoshi for Shogun, Leslie Manville for The Crown, Fumi Nicchiato for Shogun, Greta Lee for The Morning Show, Holland Taylor for The Morning Show, and Christine Baranski for The Gilded Age, hanging in with her fingernails at number 7.
Wow. I have Elizabeth, Leslie, Malika, Holland, Karen Pittman, Nicole Bahari, and Fumi.
Nice. So you don't have
So
Greta Lee.
I've never had Greta.
Interesting.
So
Could be in
like why am I gonna start when I am losing a spot here?
love that thinking. Also, like feels like the type that everybody predicts and then is snubbed and then was never really in, right? You know, that kind of thing.
It's like is she another Davine because of past lives?
Maybe. I would say the difference is she had a huge role in the thirds. Like she was
Yeah, she
better
had
in like
the dining and whining of the ad sales guys during
she was
upfronts.
before I saw Past Lives, my only awareness of Greta Lee as an actor was the second season of the morning show, and I was like, yikes, this is not good. I never watched Russian Doll, so I was just like, yikes. And then watching Past Lives, I was like, wow, she's really good. And then I watched Morning Show season 3, and I was like, oh, she's great on Morning Show season 3. So I just think I actually think she's like really good on the season. It's a totally different performance than Past Lives, obviously. Um, I could see I don't know why I have Christine Baranski over Nicole Bahari or Karen Pittman. I think if I was going to pick one of them and keep Greta Lee, I would pick Karen Pittman over Nicole, but I don't know.
I just dropped Christine when we lost this spot here.
Right.
So
Maybe I'll drop her my final picks and put Karen in.
I'm like, that's just like the weaker show of these to
Yeah, no,
me,
of course.
you
It
know?
makes total sense.
So
And is she strong enough on her own to get in as a lone nominee from this
I mean,
show?
I love Christine Baranski, but
Yeah. Maybe I'm going to do that now. I'm just putting Karen Pittman in now. Bye, Christine. Sorry. RIP. To my prediction. uh, for drama supporting actor Joyce, I have Billy Crudup for the morning show. I have Tatanobu Asano for Shogun. I have Tokuma Nishioka for Shogun. I have Takehiro Hira for Shogun. I have John Hamm for the morning show, Jonathan Pryce for the Crown, and Khalid Abdallah for the Crown.
wow. I have Billy, Tadanobu, Jonathan, John, Mark Duplass for the morning show, Takahiro, and Takuma.
So you
So
don't have Khalid Abdallah for the Crown.
I I debated between dropping him and Jonathan when we lost the eighth slot, and I dropped him
You're
instead.
that confident in Mark for the morning show.
I mean, he's a past nominee,
Is that
so
really, that's it, right?
and like he has an unhinged moment in season 3.
He has an unhinged moment that's very memorable, but nothing else I don't think he does really anything else in season 3.
No. Um, but I think it's like I think the whole season, as we've said, season 3 of Morning Show, very entertaining.
Absolute
Like
blast.
I feel like they watch the season. The actors.
Absolutely
You know the
blast.
actors like the show.
Absolute blast. I put Khalid Abdallah because I was like coattail with Elizabeth Debicki.
Yeah.
But
I
I
get it. Yeah,
don't.
that's why I was like, should I drop Jonathan instead?
Yeah, maybe
So
I
I
should.
don't know.
Maybe if I drop somebody, I would drop Jonathan and keep Khalid. I just feel like I don't know if he's super memorable on the show, but he definitely isn't like in all the episodes that they watched. You know what I mean? Like I feel like The Crown, like people paid attention to the Diane episodes, and so like he's
Or
with
maybe
Elizabeth.
they only just care about Elizabeth as we
Maybe.
so
We both have triple Shogun, which makes us we'll feel vindicated when this is right. I just feel like, man, if you again, they watch the show, and these guys are all like obviously Tatanobu Asano is like breakout of the whole show, but the other two actors have huge moments that are great, and I feel especially Takuma would be like a no brainer to get in, right? Don't you think? Like I'm surprised he's not like much higher in the odds.
um yeah, I don't even know where he is, but I also feel like it's hard to fill out the last couple spots because like who else is there? Like there's like Nathan Lane, I guess, for the Gilded Age, but I don't
Yeah,
really
I've
know.
seen people do Gilded Age and stuff, and I'm just like, again,
Yeah, I mean I've had like Jack Loudon at some point for Slow
sure.
Horses, but I don't
We
know.
know, like again, like it feels like uh not not like it's like a not intentional xenophobia, but I'm just like a little bit because I'm just like you watch the show, like it's like the most popular show is Shogun, certainly, right? Like we're just assuming that, but like it feels right, like in this category, and you have these actors who are all great, And like we know they just like checking off one show and like writing the actors that they like from that show. So like, and these guys are fantastic with like super memorable stuff in the show. Why would they not get in? It just seems like so obvious that they would get in. I guess I could be eating crow here in a month and be like, oh, I guess I was wrong. But I just feel like it's very obvious that these three guys would get in.
Well, I think they're also low because they were not here from the beginning. It's
Certainly,
not just
certainly.
the move,
I know.
but like
I
they
know.
were not options from the
I
beginning
know.
either.
I know.
So
I
that's
know.
like a separate issue.
I know. I'm just saying,
Um,
like, I just feel like
I
they
mean,
would.
like, you know, props to Tadanobu for getting all the way to second because he also wasn't in here from
No.
the beginning either. So, and he's the one like they're focusing on. Like they had their like Emmy FYC event last week, Shogun, and it was him, Anna, and Hiro.
Yeah, he's like the
Cosmo was
big.
filming, so
Yeah.
he's been pretty absent. He's
Uh,
another Imelda.
Cosmo's not gonna. Cosmo will get nominated for sure, but he's not winning. Like, I could. I don't. I think Billy Crudup is gonna win, but I also, if you told me like all three of the Shogun people won Emmys, I would not be shocked. I guess. Like, I think Hiro and Hannah will win. If Tatanubu won over Billy Crudup, I would not be surprised. But they
They're
do love
both like the
Billy.
same kind of like scene stealing
Yes.
performance.
Yes.
So
And
it's hard to say like one has the edge over the other. And I don't think
right.
they care about the fact that Billy has already won. They probably don't even remember that he won.
I
So
don't, because it was a COVID, like, right? It was
it
the
was
COVID
COVID.
ceremony.
Yeah.
I don't think, I think that's true. I guess, like, yeah, like, and Billy's great on the show. So if he won, I'd be happy too, honestly. He's really fun. Um, for guest actress, Joyce, I ended up with the top five, and the odds there's only 5 slots here. I have Claire Foy, Michaela Cole, Yugo Miyamoto for Shogun, Sarah Paulson for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and Marcia Gay Harden for The Morning Show.
I have Claire, Sarah, Michaela, Marcia, and Parker Posey from Mr. and Mrs.
Oh, my favorite. Thanks, Joyce. That makes me happy.
Did I do it for you? Not really, but
Oh, I mean, I'm here for that. I would absolutely put her in. She's amazing. I put Yuko
I
in.
needed someone else because you know we lost Lindsay Duncan.
So
She
you
was
didn't
not
put
submitted.
Yuko in for Shogun.
No, I never had her.
So she plays
So
the madam of the for
yes.
people watching. And I was like, that's a really memorable character, I think. And I also think she's got really great stuff too with like Hero, right? Doesn't she have scenes with, I haven't watched the show in months, but if I remember correctly, she does. I just was like, I think it's a memorable character, so I would put her in, but we'll see. Parker Posey would
I
be
think like
fucking
my
great.
thing with it is like as I've said, like I don't know if there is a ceiling for Shogun's acting hall.
I'm
So I
going no
obviously think
ceiling.
it'll get multiple, but I don't think it's the same thing as like a Succession or a White Lotus.
I think in another year maybe it wouldn't, but I think this year it will be because there's not a lot of shows. But I could, if Parker Posey got in, that'd be great. And actually, you'll see in the next page when we do drama guest actor, I do have her co-star represented. So for that category, just have Michael Emerson for Fallout, Nestor Carbonell for Shogun, Paul Dano for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Kyle MacLachlan for Fallout, and Wagner Moura for Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
I have Michael, John Turturro for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Kyle, Nestor, and Wagner, because obviously Eight Scars was not submitted.
So here's the thing with Mr. and Mrs. Smith. This is a show, obviously, could really dominate the guest categories. Great show. Absolutely loved it. Not sure how many people watched it. I don't know, right? Do you feel like I'm sure it was well watched on Amazon and they're obviously heavily promoting it. But I think if you watch the show, like, and we're ranking these guests, I don't think John Turturro would be as high as these other guys. And I think Paul Dano especially would be like in. I know you don't have him in, but I mean, he's just great on it. And memorable in the finale, which helped.
I mean I think they're all pretty memorable. Like I was trying to get Ron Perlman in too, and I couldn't because there's
He was
only
great.
8
That's a great episode. I kind of was just
so.
like, I'm focused on the finale. I was like, Dano in the finale is great. Wagner Moore is great in his episode and the finale. So let's go. That's it. The other guys, we all have the same guys.
What, Michael, Kyle, and Nestor?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about them either, but I just have them.
People are really excited for Nestor Carbonell to win.
I don't think he'll win.
Me neither. I have Michael Emerson winning for now.
I don't know who would win this. I mean, I think Claire's winning actress, her third Emmy for Elizabeth, but I don't know who's winning this.
Let's go to limited series, Joyce. This is pretty. We'll see. Actually, for the series itself, I have the same 5 I've had since Shogun left: Baby Reindeer, Lessons in Chemistry, True Detective, Night Country, Fargo, and Ripley.
I've had my same 5: Baby Reindeer, Lessons, True Detective, Fargo, and Hunks in the Air.
Love it. Apple loves it too.
I've double Apple. They should be thrilled. They've never gotten a limited series nomination before. So
I'm gonna stick with Ripley. I don't know. For actor, I got nothing to say. We'll cover back to this one in July. For a TV movie, I have Mr. Monk's Last Case, Scoop, The Kane Mutiny Court Martial, Quiz Lady, and our favorite movie, Joyce, The Great Lillian Hall.
wow. I have The Spinning Wheel of Death right now. I can't scroll.
No.
Okay. I have Monk, Quiz Lady, Red, White, and Royal Blue, Scoop, and No One Will Save You.
Nice. Sure.
So I don't know. I have nothing to say.
Next category. Limited series movie actress. 5 slots. We lost a slot here, right?
I think most people will have the same 5.
I have Jodie Foster, Brie Larson, Juno Temple, Sofia Vergara, and Kate Winslet.
Wow, you put Kate back in.
I did. Sorry to Naomi.
I have Jodie, Brie, Sophia, Juno, and Naomi.
I could see either one of them. It's a flip of a coin for me. I think Kate, even if they don't like the show, I think they're just gonna like put her in. I don't know.
Why?
Because they like her? I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to Naomi with my final picks.
I mean, they liked her for her successful
True.
HBO limited series. It's not like she's a constant presence on TV.
That's true.
She racks up nominations.
That's true.
I don't know about, like, I feel good about the top 4. I don't know about Naomi, but it's also,
Who else?
I don't know. I mean, I had like Uzo Aduba when we had 6 slots here, so I don't know. I know people want Jessica Lange to happen for The Great Lillian Hall. I mean, there's Nicole Kidman for Expats, but I don't.
I think if there were 6 slots, she could have maybe gone in, but
so I kind of feel like Naomi could get in by default almost.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. If I put, I
So,
mean, I could put her back in. Maybe I would, but it doesn't feel. I think the other 4 though are like pretty safe.
yeah, and I mean, it's funny because Naomi, I don't think has ever been higher than like 5th in
No.
the odds.
No.
Like she's always just been like riding
Yep.
the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's like people are not even confident in her ability to get nominated.
No.
But I do think, like, you know, her performance is well liked. And
She is well liked too. So I mean, like,
yeah,
that
she's well
helps.
liked, and like she's been campaigning as well.
Yeah, very much so.
Um,
I think it's a
so
coin flip between the 2 of them. I don't know. And they do like FX, and they like, I mean, or Hulu, and they like those kind of
well,
like,
it's an FX show, but you
right.
can watch it on Hulu.
And they love the big acting of those kind of shows.
This is like exactly the type of acting that they
So
like.
maybe I'll put her back in
It's
when I
just
do my
like the
final
show
picks.
wasn't as successful as the first season.
Yeah, maybe I'll put her in for my final picks. For actor, Joyce, I have Richard Gadd for Baby Reindeer, Andrew Scott for Ripley, Tom Hollander for Feud, John Hamm for Fargo, and David Oyelowo for Lawman Bass Reeves.
You love P+.
I do.
I have Richard, Andrew, John, Tom, and I still have Washonde. So I just dropped Tony Shalhoub.
Nice. Man, would love to see Washonde get in, but
This is another one where I'm like, I think the top 4 are set.
I think Washonde could get in because I think there would be a small but passionate push for him, right? Like, it feels like a lot of people would say he was great, but I just, like we've talked about, you just wish that show maybe broke through it all because it doesn't really seem like it has.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, I think, you know, with it being 5 slots here, I think most people would just have Matt Bomer as their 5th, also as a Hope Diction too, just because
Yeah,
they want him to
I think he's
nominate
in.
it.
I think he's in 5th.
So I mean, like Hua is out there, like he is campaigning. He signed with what, CAA
I talked
yesterday.
to him. He was
Mm.
great.
So
He should get in. If it was my personal picks, he would be like top of the list.
it's yeah, like I don't think the show will get in, but I think it could still sneak like acting nominations and I don't know, maybe directing and writing too. I don't know. It's tough. Um, but yeah, the show wasn't really noisy, but
No.
you just kind of hope maybe enough people watched it and there's like
I mean, they're definitely putting it out there. I think hopefully the right people watch it and he gets in. I guess
yeah,
that.
I mean at the end of the day, it's still a Sunday night HBO limited series, right? It was just
Yeah.
one that no one talked about.
And it was really good. I mean, I
It
mean,
is it
taste
is
is
a really good
subjective, but
show.
like
It's
I
just
thought
no
it
one
was really
watched.
good. So I just think it's
So
surprising that it kind of landed with a thud, but they are pushing it very hard. I think having Downey there helps. And like if you watch his show, you would be like, he's great. So maybe I should put him in, but whatever. I
yeah,
went
like
with
Downey
Lawman.
is coming back out again a little
Yeah.
bit to do some promo because
I,
he was pretty quiet like during the airing of the show.
I went with the a yellow a SAG nominee and just like I feel like he's everywhere. Anytime I open my computer, I see him out there stumping for this show. People like him. So
I feel like it like a P plus show, you know, it or like Emmy voters are they don't really watch P plus
yeah, no, I
that
know.
much. And it's I think like the show would have to be like really huge to
Yeah.
pull someone in. Um, we've seen that like that disconnect with like what like SAG clearly likes these like P plus shows, right?
Yeah.
Like they nominated Yellowstone too, which is
Mhm.
Paramount Network, but like same
No, I
thing.
know. I know what you mean.
So
Yeah. For limited series movie supporting actress choice, I have Jessica Gunning for Baby Reindeer, Nava Mao for Baby Reindeer, Aja Naomi King for Lessons in Chemistry, Callie Reese for True Detective Night Country, Jennifer Jason Lee for Fargo, and then my Hope Dictions of Chloe Guidry for Under the Bridge and Archie Punjabi for Under the Bridge.
sure. I don't know what to do with either supporting category.
It's tough.
Um, I have Jessica, Callie, Aja, Nava, Diane Lane, JJL, and then I put in Risha Morjani for Fargo. I don't know here because I had to replace someone because Fiona Shaw wasn't submitted,
Yes.
and I didn't know like who to do because I was like, do I do another Swan? Do I do Sandra Oh?
I'm going with this again for my Under the Bridge ones. This is a much lower scale than like we know like Shogun people watched, obviously, right? Like a big show everyone watched. I'm like, if you watched Under the Bridge, you would know that like these are the people who would be more deserving of an Emmy nomination for their performance than like Lily Gladstone or Riley Keough. No disrespect to those actors, right? So I'm like, I think if you watched it, you would put these Chloe Guidry and Archie Punjabi in. So that was my thinking there, but I don't know how many people
That's a
watched it.
big presumption that they watched it. So
That's the problem. That's the one flaw. The one flaw in this choice. But I'm gonna keep him there, and I'm gonna go down the ship like I did with my good friend Matthew Good for The Offer.
you just love to hope dict.
I was like, you know what? In this category, here's what literally I was just like, fuck this category. There's no real consensus, right? You know what I mean? Like it's just
I mean,
like
I think anyone could get nominated after like Jess, Callie,
right.
and
So I'm just like,
Aja,
if I
and I
get
guess Nava maybe.
I was like, if I get 5 out of the 7, like I bet you a lot of people will get 5 out of 7 here, right? Or I'm like, I don't need to get a perfect score, but what if I got these two? And I'm like, oh man, I would just want to. I want to support the show. I love these actors on it, and why not? I'm just gonna go down with the ship.
I'm also wondering if I should just kind of do multiple like Swans or multiple Fargo ladies and just hope I get like two of them,
I
right?
loved Richa Morjani is so good on Fargo. It would be
Yeah.
really great if she got in.
Like, what if actually she got in instead of JJL? What if everyone is just over predicting
I
JJL,
I
right?
actually think that would be. I'm not gonna drop her, but I could see that for sure. She's
Yeah, like
definitely the
we've seen that
more.
happen before,
Yeah.
um, where or like with like the Queen's Gambit, right? It was like everyone had Mariel Heller
Yeah. Yep.
and she'd make it. So it's like and like Bill Camp too. It's like they
Yeah.
nominated their co-stars that no one was predicting.
Yep. I
Um,
mean, that's definitely could happen. So
yeah, so I don't know. I'm like, should I just do like a ton of swans? Because it also happened with like Mrs. America, right? Like everyone's predicting Sarah Paulson and she didn't get in, and it was like other
so
ladies.
just load up on these and hope you get a
Load
few
up on
right,
the people and hope you get like two of them.
rather than the show you're not sure they watched, like Under the Bridge, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
All right. I'm not
I
gonna
don't
do.
know.
I'm gonna get them wrong. I'll just get them wrong, and if I
I
get them
don't
right,
know.
I'll
I
feel
mean,
so good
like I
about
like I
myself.
mean, like why do I have Diane Lane? I don't know.
I
What
don't know.
like what if it's Callista, right? What if should I do like Chloe, Callista, and Diane and hope I get two of them?
I mean, maybe I don't know. It's like it's just not easy. Also not easy. Limited series actor, Joyce, supporting actor. Excuse me. I got Robert Downey Jr. for The Sympathizer, Tom Goodman Hill for Baby Reindeer, submitted and on the ballot, so thank goodness. Louis Pullman for Lessons in Chemistry, John Hawkes for True Detective Night Country, Sam Spruill for Fargo, Joe Keery for Fargo, and Finn Bennett for True Detective Night Country.
I have RDJ, Lewis, Finn, John, Tom Goodman Hill, Joe Curie, and Treat Williams.
Nice.
Still.
So no Sam for you.
I took him out. So,
So
but
I just
again,
keep
I could just load up on Fargo guys.
I kept
Like
him in.
Lamorne.
Yeah, no, Lamorne is out there campaigning and obviously has like a good character. I kept Sam in because I was just like most memorable character on the show, probably, and
I
I
know,
just
like
think
I
he'll
could
get
put him
in.
back in. I don't know.
I also think Tom Goodman Hill will end up winning this over Downey. I think in the end, I really do.
I'm curious to see like if they how they campaign him if he gets nominated. Because if he doesn't get nominated, that's like a moot point.
I
But
think
because
he'll be.
they've understandably have done nothing with him in phase one.
No, but I think he'll get in.
So yeah, it's like I'm curious to see what, if anything, they'll do in phase two. But
So
I
we have.
don't think, I mean, I don't know if like he would win, but I don't really think like RDJ would win either, so I don't know who would win this.
I'm just gonna if he gets in, I'm gonna say he's gonna win because I think they're just gonna pick Baby Reindeer across the board. It is a show that everyone loves. The basics love it, and that's it. She's gonna sweep where it can.
Um, it it's only unhelpful in that, like unlike last year, like the front runners are not coming off of the winter season. Like we have Nisi, Nash
Yes,
Betts,
yes.
and Paul
Paul
Walter
Walter Hauser.
Hauser last year. So like, or I guess you could say like last year would have been more exciting had it just been like spring contenders, right? So
Yeah,
it would be like this now where we don't really know who's gonna win. Um,
and
but
neither one of us have Jonathan Bailey third in the odds.
I mean, I think he could get in, but I don't know. I don't have him. So
And
I
then
also at this point I've never had him, so I'm just like,
right,
should I start?
and then we could do a few more categories. I think we have four more. Do you want to just burn through these? I haven't given these a lot of thought. We'll come back to them when we do our final picks. But competition program, I have The Traders, RuPaul, Top Chef, The Voice, and Survivor.
I have Traders, Drag Race, Tar, Top Chef, and The Voice.
Nice.
Um, I think some people don't want or like they're anti-dicting Amazing Race because this previous season 36 was not great, Bob, but it also aired a fall season which was really great.
Okay. I don't watch
So
these shows, so I'll take your word for it.
yeah, so it had a really great fall season, which I feel like people have forgotten about too. And also they're lazy here, so
For reality host, I have RuPaul, Alan Cumming, Queer Eye Guys, Nicole Byer, and Gordon Ramsay.
I have RuPaul, Alan, Nicole, Queer Eye, and I put in Kristen Kish for Top Chef. I don't know if she'll make it, but she replaced Padma
Yep. She's 6 in the
this
odds.
season. Probably because of me, because I'm like
Nice.
probably the only person who has her.
For Variety Talk Series, Joyce, there's only 4 slots. Is that right?
Yeah, because I think it only had 14 submissions.
So I have John Mulaney presents Everybody's in LA. I have Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, and The Daily Show.
I have Daily Show, Colbert, Kimmel, and Seth. I just put these in here for now because I don't know, like it's tough with the loss of a spot. So I don't know if like either Hot Ones or Mulaney will get in, and then if they do, like who do I drop? Because initially I was like, I just won't do the Daily Show, but then I was like, well, John is back,
I
and
think
then one last year with Trevor.
I think Daily Show is like in. I think
Yeah,
Mulaney's in too. I think that was like a huge deal, and people really love him. Obviously, I think Hot Ones could get in. I would drop probably.
I mean, I probably would have to drop Seth, but I don't want to drop Seth.
So I already dropped Seth to put in John, and for Hot Ones to get in, I would probably drop Colbert over Kimmel. But I don't know if people care about these shows enough to think through their recent seasons. But I don't know. I think Kimmel was like a little better than Colbert.
I don't know. Well, in with these iterations of their shows, like Kimmel has the longest nomination streak.
I think Kimmel would
Colbert
get
has
in.
obviously won with the Colbert Report.
I think Kimmel would get in over Colbert, but I don't know if I'm going to put Hot Ones in. I'm just like, I can't tell if that would get in. The Mulaney one, I think, would get in. Like,
Hot Ones is just really riding on the Conan episode, which was obviously iconic.
and
But
everybody is aware of it, but I'm like,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if we get in. And then for scripted series, Joyce, uh, just 2 slots. I have last week tonight
it's
at
also
SNL.
juried.
Yeah,
This is juried in real
this is
life.
a joke. I mean, all right. Last, do you have any?
Everyone has the same thing. The
And then
same
for
two.
let's just move on. And then animated, I have X-Men '97, The Simpsons, Rick and Morty, Bob's Burgers, and Blue Eye Samurai.
Yeah, I have the same. The
Okay.
top five.
So we'll be back with those are our preliminary picks after the ballots. We'll be back with our final picks next month. I can't wait, Joyce. I can't wait to see where I drop Colin from, how fast I drop Colin from accounts, Harriet Dyer, Kate Winslet. All these picks will change.
What if you just do the reverse and you add Patrick instead?
No, I don't
So
want to
you
drop any of the guys.
triple
I don't want to drop
Colin.
any of the guys in comedy actor. Emails, Joyce. Just got a couple. Like I said, we're recording a little earlier this week, so got a few. Emails at slugfest@goldderby.com. First, we're reading one from Mike. It's long, so buckle up, Joyce. Mike is our game master, as you'll recall. Hi, Joyce and Chris. It's me again, game master and an Officer and a Gentleman remake casting director's assistant, Mike. Just before I get in here, last week they announced a remake of Officer and a Gentleman, Joyce, with Miles Teller.
Yes.
We recorded our Oscars playback episode with Officer and Gentleman referenced weeks ago. And I believe at that time I said if it was 10 years ago, it would be Miles Teller and Shailene Woodley. And now it is Miles Teller.
10
It
years
definitely is
later.
my letterbox review. So obviously,
did you do a time heist?
I don't know, but I'm like, yeah, like fuck yeah, Miles Teller would be great in this role. 10 years ago, even now, I mean, whatever, nobody ages, sure. And put Shailene Woodley in it as Deborah Winger. She's got to do it. Absolutely would be great. And who plays Lou
What is she
Gossett?
doing these days?
Some Star show that was shot 3 years ago, right? That was supposed to be
It's
for Showtime.
But now where's it?
Stars.
Now
I
it's on
think.
Stars, right? Yeah.
Who should play Lou Gossett role?
I don't know.
Think
I mean,
about
like
that.
who's from that era from 10 years ago? Because we need them all to be from the same era then.
I don't know. I'm sure Coleman Domingo would be like a popular pick, right? For it now.
Yeah, but like not from 10 years ago.
No. But what
You
about
have to go
now?
back to 2014.
I know. I don't know who it would be. Jamie Foxx in 2014, I guess. He's a little young, maybe.
No.
Anyway, we'll think about this. Once again, thanks for responding to my email last week about the state of TV. As usual, a great insightful conversation between you two, and I'm happy that there are more of us who kind of have the same opinion. Don't worry, Chris, I will not make you say some Sabrina Carpenter lyrics again. That was nonsense. You don't need to beg and stop and say, please, please, please. Unfortunately, there's not.
Do you listen to Sabrina Carpenter?
I've heard the songs. Yesterday, actually,
Yeah,
listening,
I've heard the songs, but
I was like, what is
I
this?
don't
It was a great song. I think it was this one. I was like, what are we listening to? Because we were
please.
listening to like Cowboy Carter, I guess, and then we went like to a shuffle. Texas Hold'em it was. We went into a shuffle after that, and I was like, what is this one? This is really good. And it was Sabrina Carpenter. So
Do you
I should
know
listen to
what my
more.
Spotify has been doing lately after I finish Succession season 4? It goes into American Prometheus.
Ah, sure.
Yeah. So I feel like Ludwig is going to be like my number 3 artist this year on my
Nice.
Wrapped.
Mine is
Yeah.
still gonna be Taylor, probably. So
Mine will be Eminem and then Bertel. So
unfortunately, there's not gonna be a game again. Joyce is right. I have a game master's block. Sorry to disappoint you again, Tim. Also, I don't have Emmy ballots thoughts to share since everyone is waiting at this point, and whatever I say will add nothing. So instead, I will just share my thoughts on some of the new shows. Love to hear this. Just like you guys, I'm enjoying Presumed Innocent. The first 2 episodes were fantastic. Bill Camp Emmy win all the way. And while the cast is prestige TV core, the show itself is not necessarily prestige, but it's very fun and entertaining, and I can't wait to watch the rest of the series. The cast is also great. I still can't believe that Renate Reinsev is part of the cast. I hope someone asked Maggie Gyllenhaal during the press tour for The Bride about her thoughts on the show. I've also been enjoying the FX on Hulu limited series Clipped. It's not prestige TV, but very fun and entertaining as well, even if it's not on the level of Winning Time. My favorite part is Ed O'Neill's performance as Donald Sterling. He's so good, and it's perfect casting. He's following in the footsteps of his Modern Family co-star Sofia Vergara in playing complicated public figure in a limited series. I hope their other Modern Family co-stars will do this type of show as well. Julie Bowen, call your agent and tell them to set you up on a meeting to star in a Marjorie Taylor Greene limited series. What about a WhatsApp commercial, Mike? We could do.
yeah, that's why they brought out the sets.
Yeah.
WhatsApp.
Mike's still going, Joyce. The first 3 episodes of The Boys season 4 were also great. Wonderful start. Never lost its beat. I love that there is an action set piece in episode 2 that took place in a Marvelous Mrs. Maisel themed bat mitzvah. I guess it helps that they are both on the same streaming service. This made me wonder, what does Maren Hinkle think about Homelander? I hope she's not a supporter of him. Anyway, that's all for my TV takes for now, and I'm planning to watch other new shows that are coming in the next couple of weeks. Not gonna lie, I'm excited for Sunny, which I believe is the Rashida Jones Apple show.
Mm-hmm.
To this end, to end this letter, I have a fun question for Joyce, since she is a Friends fan. Which Friends cast member would you like to see guest star on the morning show, and what role would you like them to play? That's all. Still don't know when there's a game next week. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.
Wow. That was a lot.
It was a lot, but what would you say for Friends guest star on the morning show? I could think of one right off the top of my head. It would be great.
Are we just talking about like the main cast?
Let's talk about the main cast.
Well, I think everyone would say Courtney because
I would say Schwimmer would be fucking great.
I was gonna say Schwimmer.
Okay.
Because I think like the obvious choice would be Courtney.
Okay.
Because they're
Right.
best friends.
Right.
But no, because like, well, they had their the Uber Eats commercial for the Super Bowl. That was great.
Schwimmer would be absolutely crushed as he's so good at playing like a slimy guy in this world.
Like
in
OJ.
Yeah. He'd be so good on it. He'd be great.
Yeah, and I also feel like we've seen, like, I love them, but I feel like we've seen Jen and Courtney work too much together. Like
Yes.
they, she's been on Cougar Town, and Dirt and everything. So, I feel like we don't need that. So, and like Jen hasn't really worked with the guys as often since like she's closer to Courtney and Lisa, obviously. So.
Yeah. What if he's already cast? They've not announced, outside of Marion Cotillard, they have not announced season 4 guest stars. And
as we know, they're trying to cast Alex's dad.
Yeah. Who would play Alex's dad?
Well, they, as we said last week, they allegedly offered it to Kevin Kline, who turned it down.
So we need an older.
So that's the type of person they're chasing.
I don't even know who it would be.
But then
Harrison Ford.
But with like Schwimmer, I don't know. Like I guess he could have, because the cast itself is getting kind of crowded because John is coming back too. Because he could have been like perfect if John was not coming back, right? To like fill that void. So I don't know, man. But now like they've merged and everything, so there's like there could be a bunch of new people in the building.
Schwimmer's got to do it. He'd be so good on it.
Imagine like him with that dialogue, their type of dialogue.
It would be so good. The show is so much fun. I love it so much. Okay. Judgmental TV fan is back, Joyce.
Oh, great.
Hi, Joyce and Chris. I know you guys have already talked about oversubmitting regarding Emmy nominations, but I must ask, what is FX doing with regard to Reservation Dogs? How does one expect to be nominated if you submit everything? Has no one learned that the best course of action is to submit 1 episode, maybe 2 if something is really strong? I know John Landgraf is upset that the series has been overlooked. It's fair, that show is really good, but I don't think this is remotely helping its chances. It feels more like the show is destined to be yet another Better Call Saul, and that sucks. and I'm not sure adopting AMC's misguided submission strategy was the correct choice. Yikes. Scathing from judgmental TV fan this week, Joyce.
Judgmental TV fan sounds really disappointed in Res Dogs.
Yeah.
So they submitted 8 in writing.
Yeah.
And I think, was it 7 in directing? Let me see. Yeah,
a lot of submissions, Joyce.
Yeah, a lot of submissions. So 7 and 8. That's a lot, guys.
Yeah.
For a show that's never been nominated in those categories.
Yeah.
Before. So it's not a great strategy. I don't know if, like, in terms of I think it's better chance will be in writing. So it kind of sucks that it's submitted 8.
Yeah.
Tough.
This is kind of why I dropped it too. I know it doesn't matter, but
I mean, like, it could still get the votes in writing and just not get the nomination,
right.
And get the votes in
Yeah,
series.
you're right.
So
yeah.
that doesn't matter. It just means it missed. But
yeah.
I feel like they just submitted everything because it's like their last year, so it's like everyone go all out, and like, we'll try to get all of you a nomination.
Yeah, I understand that. And I'm sure, like, if I worked on a show really hard and I did a great job, I would want to be on the ballot. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it is fair to want it, but there is, I guess.
But in terms of like
strategy, there is a strategy to getting it in, and then what's your end game? Is it to get the show recognized or yourself? And like that's obviously like difficult to figure out, right? Like probably so.
Yeah, it's like, obviously it's never gotten above the line nomination. So it's like, do we want to just throw everything against the wall and see what sticks? Or do we want to just like focus in on like one category, or, like writing, and then we'll just submit our best episode and hope like that one episode gets in. And we've seen a lot of more successful shows do that, right? Like Succession only just submitted one. The Bear just submitted Fishes. Hacks always just Bulletproof or one episode. So they get, all of those shows could submit more, but they don't. They show restraint.
Right.
And that sucks for like the other writers, right? But it's like their goal is to get the nomination and then the win and avoid vote splitting.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I haven't really thought about like the writing categories, but I don't know if I would predict Res Dogs with so many submissions in there. Because like with writing, because like all of those are 6 in all the writing directing categories. So I think like The Bear and Hacks get in, obviously. I think What We Do in the Shadows can get back in, and we've seen writers go for it.
Yep.
So it actually only submitted 2 episodes, I think, this time. And it's previously gone 3 in.
Yep.
And I think Abbott could get back in for Quinta and Miss last year. And then there's 2 more. I don't know. It could be Only Murders.
Yeah.
And I guess like it could be like, the good thing about the writers is like they're the most adventurous branch. Like they're the most likely to nominate a show that has no chance in series, like the other 2 last year are Girls Five Eva. So like theoretically that should help Reservation Dogs, but it also submitted so many. So I could like see like just the other 2 getting back in because it just submitted 1 of their hanging episodes.
Yep. This one is from Hannah Joyce. This one's to you, actually. Hi, Joyce and Chris. I know most tennis players would prefer to win a Grand Slam, but Joyce, how do you feel about seemingly everyone skipping the Olympics this year?
It's fine. It's, the surface change is too tough because we're gonna have Wimbledon and then the Olympics will be on clay, and then they have to transition into hard court for the summer in the US Open. So that's tough on a lot of bodies and training. So I get it. I think if the Olympics were on either grass, like it was in London at Wimbledon, or on hard court, then we wouldn't have as many withdrawals now. But some people are like injured, like on Strabor, or they just want to focus more on training for like the hard courts after grass. So Yeah, I think it's kind of hard for like maybe some people to understand that like while Olympic gold is like the ultimate achievement in certain sports, like it's not the case in tennis, right? Because you chase Grand Slams,
Right.
and like the Olympic gold is a bonus. And I think like some players do really care about it and they want it. Like Nole wants it because that's the only thing missing for him. Um, but yeah, I think it's just like a personal choice. So I don't, and like you also don't get ranking points or prize money for playing the
Right.
Olympics. Yeah, but I think it's fine. I mean, we still have like people going there, or like Rafa's gonna play, and
When are the Olympics, Joyce?
wow, I can't believe you would ask this. July 26th.
I knew you would know.
But you should know yourself.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
I know
It's
you are.
great because, we only have to wait 3 years this time
I know.
because
I
of
know you love
COVID.
the Olympics. Last one here before we go. Email us at slugfest@golder.com. This one's from Gabrielle. Hi, Joyce and Chris. I understand the submission process for Emmys, and I know most actors don't have anything to do with their submissions. But I feel like this year has a number of actors who weren't submitted who should have been, from Fiona Shaw for True Detective to Walton Goggins for his Justified guest spot, which I'm pretty sure is long enough to be eligible and also feels way more doable than either of his supporting bids. I guess this isn't a question, it's more of a statement. But am I crazy? That's from Gabrielle.
Uh, I mean, I don't think either of those two people named care.
I guess I was surprised Fiona Shaw wasn't. She seemed like an easy nominee, right? Like,
Yeah. So like it sucks for me because I had to replace her
right.
in my picks, but I don't think she cares. And I mean, it could have been something like discussed between like HBO and her. It's like, hey, we're not gonna submit you. If you want to submit yourself, go ahead. And maybe she decided that she didn't want to submit.
Right.
It could be like that.
It's
And
in some cases though, it's probably like Alexander Skarsgård probably wouldn't be a quote unquote deserving nominee because he's in like 30 seconds basically of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. But I think he might have gotten in because he's a past nominee and winner, and they don't care
yeah,
about this.
assuming he met the time eligibility, 5%, like yeah. So I mean like we just don't know why people are not submitted. So I think it's also I understand when people are mad when actors are not submitted.
Yeah.
But like you can't assume that like the network was just being stupid.
I wouldn't assume that. No, I just think they're just like didn't bother. Like the actor
Yeah.
probably didn't bother. You know what I mean? Like if they asked him,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
or
And
her, especially nowadays.
yeah, and you also have to pay $200 too.
I don't think
So,
that they care about as much.
no, but it's just like, well, in terms of like the campaign budget too, right? Like if it's the studio, like if you're personally submitting, I'm sure you can foot $200.
Right.
But if it's like the studio, it's like, oh, we're submitting like 10 people, but we want to dedicate like this certain amount of money for like this like campaign or whatever, so we're not going to submit like these 5 people. So
Yeah.
I don't know. And then like with Walton, yeah, like maybe he didn't want to be submitted for Justified,
Maybe.
so because like he's on the ballot multiple times. So
We know he'll get nominated for Fallout and then win next year for White Lotus. That's the pick.
yeah, or it could be like an FX thing. It's just like we're not gonna do.
Maybe. Do you think Bradley Cooper will get in? We don't have him in. I see
Yeah,
people
we haven't even
predicting him.
mentioned him.
Did,
Is he high in the odds? I'm assuming he is.
I think he was maybe. I had to close out the tabs because my computer was freezing up.
Let me see.
I'll give you
Um,
two things we didn't mention that I've seen other pundits suggesting before we wrap up. Bradley Cooper and Gen V as the comedy show that gets in.
is that really a comedy? I mean, I don't care that it's in comedy, but it's kind of like another bear to me.
It's definitely not a comedy, and I also was like, the only people I see talking about are pundits, really. But I guess the idea is it could get in. I mean, like we talked about, that is a very flexible bottom of comedy, so maybe it could get in. I don't believe it though, but just throwing it out there, Trace.
Bradley Cooper is in 11th place.
Okay, so not that
Abaddon.
high.
No. It kind of feels like if you're predicting him, it's like if you're predicting Brad Pitt for Dave.
Yeah. I wouldn't predict Bradley Cooper for Abbott, but I'll tell you what, loved him on Abbott.
He was fantastic. I loved him. It was very fun.
Perfect.
And kind of like the perfect antidote for all the haters of him during Oscar season.
Really love Bradley Cooper. Still do.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like he was just himself as a cameo. So, I mean, I know they're lazy in this category, but I don't think they would
How
be
lazy
that
are they?
lazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like he's also lucky the show is only 21 minutes that he
Yeah.
meant 5%, because he
Yeah.
was in there for like 90 seconds. So,
All right, next week, Joyce. What do we want to do next week?
um, well, voting will be over next week, and the Bear is back.
The Bears back next
The
week.
Bear. Remember the
Did you
Bear?
get
They're doing promotions right
did
now.
you get
They're
screeners
everywhere.
yet?
I mean, I'm assuming like critics have gotten screeners, but I remember last year they sent them like the Sunday before.
Praying we get those soon. Then that'll be fun. All right. Well, we'll talk then, Joyce. Bye.